Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to the Fenced In podcast with Jennifer Rogers. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share for more content like this. Today I will be interviewing John Poet Thornton. How are you doing today, John?
I'm good. It's great to be here with you.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on. So tell us, who is John Poet Thornton?
Well, I'm a former drug ringleader. I'm from St. Pete, Florida. Um, yeah, and I go on shows now and tell my story about
All right.
redemption. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start the childhood aspect or?
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. Tell us all of it.
Okay, cool. Normal family up until about middle school when my parents divorced and I was kind of thrown family member to family member, house to house, really dysfunctional. And I took refuge in nightclubs. In Tampa, we have this place called Ybor City, and it's like Mardi Gras, New Orleans, French Quarter, just nothing but bars, nightclubs. And this is in probably the late 90s. I'm 47, but late 90s, I was young, 17 years old, and I would go to these nightclubs in Tampa because that's where I felt like a home was at for me. Because I never knew where I was going to rest my head at or where my next meal was going to come from. So, and back in them days in the late 90s in Tampa, breakbeat, EDM, techno music, it was like the big crazed rave, uh, I, I started to get involved in like DJing in nightclubs. Uh, at the same time, I was cultivating marijuana and I was selling marijuana in nightclubs. And it was a wild thing because people would come up to me and ask me for beans. I'm like, beans? Like, the 7-Eleven here on the corner, they have cans of beans. What are beans? And my group of friends would laugh at me. They're like, no, they mean ecstasy, XE, rolls. I'm like, beans. Okay. So I would like find these beans that they wanted and I would resell it, make a few dollars. And I was like, man, I could really make a business out of this. And at the time, I was working at a pizza spot, and back then the minimum wage was like $3, $4, and I was making maybe 150, $200 a week, and reselling these beans in the clubs on a nightly basis. I was making equivalent to that on a nightly basis. So
Hmm.
I'm thinking I'm a kingpin because I'm making $200 a night reselling these beans, but I never had a true connection. Uh, it was always like fly by night drug dealers, and this one guy, he would always show up to the club, and whenever he showed up to the club, whole bunch of beans. Whenever he left the club, there was no more beans. So I was like, I need to get close to this guy. I need to become his friend, and I eventually did. And at the same time in Tampa, I was throwing underground raves. That's where the newspapers they called me the king of the underground because I was throwing these underground raves. We're breaking into warehouses and setting turntables up and throwing these raves. And I invited him out. Once him and I became friends, and I invited him out to one of these raves, and we really hit it off. And he just happened to have as many beans as I could possibly sell.
Hmm.
Like, but he was one of them classic drug dealers where he was always on the product. And that's one thing about me is I never really did this stuff. I loved alcohol, but uh, he was always high, always messed up, always at the Tampa Hard Rock gambling. He had a horrible gambling addiction, and he was just basically selling this stuff to supply his addiction. He wasn't really doing it for money, so to speak. But he happened to be plugged in with one of the major players in the ecstasy game, in the cocaine game. I don't touch too much on who that person is. I don't mention their names because any names that I mention, I get permission from that person. But a lot of stuff I don't mention. But uh, I started to buy beans from him and reselling it. And I think at the time I was making like maybe $3,000 to $5,000 per week doing this with him.
How old were you?
I was probably 18.
So you were young. Okay.
Yeah, 18. And like I said, I never came from money because when my parents divorced, so making that kind of money, I just didn't know what to do with it.
Mhm.
And nowadays you think about $5,000, it's not much, But back in the late 90s, early 2000s, $5,000, I mean, that's $20,000 a month,
Yeah.
and for a young 18-year-old kid to be making this kind of money is quite insane, you know. So I worked with him for years, doing the beans and doing the raves. And there was one night I was trying to get a hold of him, and I couldn't reach him. And like I said, he was that classic drug dealer. Like, he would get back to me eventually, but I couldn't find him. And I started to call around to jails, to hospitals to see if he was arrested. And I finally found him in a hospital.
Mm.
So I went to see him, and he just came out of life support, and they pumped his stomach because he was on his way to see me, and his buddy was driving, and his buddy got pulled over on a DUI stop. So my first plug, the guy I met in the clubs, he swallowed roughly around 100 to 200 ecstasy pills. I don't know how he did it, but he did. And he overdosed because he was afraid that if on the DUI stop, if they found the ecstasy pills, he would go to prison, of course. So he swallowed them, got away, went to a payphone, got an ambulance. They took him to the hospital, pumped his stomach, and he told me on basically his deathbed that he was out of the business. He was not doing it anymore. And my selfishness at the time, because I was making a lot of money, a lot of popularity, I was like, what about me? You can't quit. I need you. And like I said, he was involved with some major players. So he was like, I can introduce you. Let me see if the guy wants to meet you, who I'm getting the product from. I said, okay, if you can do that for me, great. So he ended up doing that, and he introduced me to the main player. And my first plug, he owed thousands of dollars because, like I said, he was an addict, gambling addiction. So the main plug told me that, you know, this guy owes me thousands of dollars. He's like, I said, well, now I'm with you, my price drops. And if my price drop, take the, like, let's just say I was buying my ecstasy pills at $9 a piece, and my one plug was selling them to me for whatever, 11. So my price drops. I said, well, take the money that I would be making and put it towards his debt. And I ended up paying off my first plug's debt in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Then my price dropped because I'm working with a major plug now. So it was just mainly ecstasy and weed at the time. And ecstasy was, man, it was crazy. I don't know if you played with ecstasy? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had connections. My buddy, he had the first reality TV show. It was called the Tattoo Underground.
Mm.
It was the first tattoo reality show, and it was filmed in Tampa, actually. And he moved to Birmingham, Alabama. So whenever he moved to Birmingham, Alabama, he needed drugs there. So I started to traffic drugs to Birmingham. Then from there, I had friends in New York City. So I started to traffic drugs to New York City. Then I had friends in Shreveport, Louisiana, and I had actually had a dirty cop on my team at a Shreveport. So I started to traffic drugs there, and she was providing protection for my drug operation. My newspaper articles, they said I controlled over 30 nightclubs, but it was way more than that. And they said I was this ringleader in this drug organization called the Society.
Okay.
Uh, it never had a name. I don't know where they got that name from. I have no idea. Uh, but it's kind of funny. I think it's a play off my nickname, Poet, like Poet Society,
Oh
maybe.
yeah, that's a good spinoff actually.
Yeah, yeah, great Tampa newspapers. You guys got it right.
Yeah.
But so early 2000s, I ended up meeting a stripper, but I had no idea about cocaine. Like, I was so green about, like, what is cocaine? I don't, people would do it, but I was a pill guy.
Yeah.
Um, and she was a major cokehead. And at the strip club, like, her plug never showed up, and her and I started to date or whatever. And she's like, "Is there any way you can get me coke?" I'm like, "I don't know anything about coke." She's like, "Well, my guy never showed up. Can you just get me some coke?" Just always on me about this coke thing. And I was like, "Well, let me call my guy, my bean guy, and see. And I call him. And I said, hey, man, my girl's really bothering me about this Coke stuff. Like, do you know where I can find this at? And he starts to laugh because the bean was just a side thing for him, the ecstasy. But he was a major cocaine guy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how much is it? Like, how much? How does this work? And he's like, well, for now on, we don't call it Coke on the phone. He's like, call it T-shirts. I said, okay. He's like, call ecstasy pills CDs. I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, how much is a T-shirt?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, how much do you want? I was like, an ounce, I guess. And he's like, it's $500. I said, okay, $500 ounce. All right. I tell Nicole, I say, it's $500 an ounce. And she goes, oh, that's garbage. It's cut, stomped on. There's no way you can get it for $500 an ounce. I said, my guy's telling me it's 500. Do you want it? She's like, that goes for 12 to 1500 in the club. So my mind, I'm like, I can make $1,000 off this, like one shot, you know. So I end up getting it, 1 ounce. I bring it back to her, and she absolutely loves it. It was a great product, great price. And I told her, I said, just give me $850 for it. So I make $350 off of it. I'm cool with that. Because, like I said, the beans were my main thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing the Coke for her. But the Coke it absolutely exploded. Like a stripper turned me on to the Coke game and taught me everything about, cocaine. And before you know it, I'm trying to fast forward. I don't know how much time we have, but
Have as
uh,
much time as you want to take.
okay, cool. So yeah, the cocaine surpassed the ecstasy pills. And I'm doing great business with the plug. And he's the first guy I ever dealt with. He always had it. There was never a time where he's like, it's dry. And you have to remember, I sold drugs for this guy well over a decade, and he always had it. Always had it. It was insanity. And since I was buying so much ecstasy pills, buying so much cocaine from him, it got to the point where I was going by his house too much, and he didn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he started to front me the product. And like I said, late 90s, early 2000s, he's fronting me his price, my price, anywhere. It was 50,000 to $100,000 worth of product. And, I'm going to make over double of that. So it went from making $200 a night to making $5,000 a week to now I'm making anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 per week.
Wow. And you're how old at this point?
Early 20s.
Dang.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
what
like,
was your mindset? Like, you've got all this money coming in at that young of
Mhm.
an age. Like, what were you thinking, feeling? Like, I mean, I can
Well,
imagine you probably felt like you were untouchable on top of the world, but how did you
yeah,
feel?
just like that.
Okay.
I felt I couldn't do any wrong. I can't, like, everybody wants the number, right? And I try to pinpoint the number to 50 to 75, but I really don't know how much I was making. I try to figure out while I was in prison. We'll get to that. But I believe I made around maybe over 10 million at one point.
So, what were you doing with the money?
Well, I
The
would
laugh.
literally, yeah, I would literally fly out to Vegas private, and I'm the only guy that will probably be on your show that said that they flew out to Vegas just to get a steak sandwich. Like, there was a steak sandwich spot I lived out there, so I flew out to Vegas just to get a steak sandwich one time. And when I got there, the steak sandwich shop was closed. Like, they went out of business. So I was like, well, I'm
Dang.
already here. So I literally like spent like 55,000 on a baccarat table, partied for a couple hours, and jumped on the jet and flew back to Tampa. I was buying my friends' cars, I was buying my friends' houses. It just I was blowing money. I could tell you how much I was spending, but I couldn't tell you how much I was making.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was getting the product on a front, and how it worked was, if he gave me $100,000 worth of product, I would say, okay, I'm just using this as a number. I'm going to make 175,000. So I owe him 100,000. That means I have 75,000 to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would do on a weekly basis. I would weigh out the product, weigh out the pill, or count the pills up. Okay, I got this much. I can blow 60 grand this week and still have the money to pay him. And he was never worried about the money. And how it worked, I would call him and say, I have $10,000 of the 100 I owe you. Do you want me to bring it by your house? He's like, nah, wait till next week. I would call him the next week and say, I have $25,000. Do you want me to bring it by your house? Yeah, you can bring it by. So I would go by his house, drop off the 25,000. That means I owe you 75,000. He would give me more product. So now it went from 75 back to like 150 or 175. And it just always, it was a snowball effect. It was, I just felt like I could do whatever I want. I mean, I went to the Corvette dealership and I bought a brand new Corvette with cash now. Like I showed up with $100 bills, $20 bills, and just buying it, putting it in people's names, other people's names, not my own name. I tell this funny story on podcast. I'll share it with you. I had a whole bunch of friends that were going to like a bike night, and they were going every week, and they would rag on me, going, they were like, "Oh, you can't go to bike night with us because you don't have a motorcycle." I said, "Okay, not yet." So the next day I went out to the dealership and bought a brand new motorcycle. And the week after I showed up at the bike night with my brand new motorcycle. That's just my spending habits. I got so wrapped up in the lifestyle. I even bought a throne for my house. Yeah, I had a throne. You guys, if you guys check out my social media, you can see the throne I bought. Yeah, stupid. I'm so stupid with my money, or was. I'm broke as hell now, but back then I had a lot. But trafficking drugs to New York City, Birmingham, and Shreveport, and I had the cop on my team. So I started to develop a system and a team of people, a network of people. Like I said, the newspaper said 30 nightclubs. So I probably had 60 or more people working for me, and I had captains. And it's kind of like structured like the mafia, but I had no idea what the mafia was, But there was a girl, her name was Carlene Troyer. She's my co-defendant. She was a hardcore lesbian, flannel shirt, truck driving lesbian. Everybody thought we were together, but she didn't like what I have.
Yeah. You
She,
weren't her
she
top.
no, obviously not. But she was dating a cop that was from Shreveport, Louisiana. And whenever this cop would fly down and visit Carlene, the cop was selling drugs for me in the nightclubs and delivering and providing protection for me in Shreveport, Louisiana. I had another guy named Eric Lemus, my co-defendant. He was a Mexican citizen. He was here illegally. I had another guy named Bradley House, my other co-defendant, another captain. So after years of doing this, never getting caught, I had minor drug offenses in the early 2000s. I mean, no big deal. I had friends in New York City, like I was telling you. So I was flying out to New York a lot. And in 2007, I was flying out to New York City. I was going to be there for 2 days. And then I had some business dealings up there. I was flying back to Tampa to refill everybody. Then that same day, I was flying to Shreveport, Louisiana for 3 days. So the night before weeks before I left, Bradley House, my co-defendant, he sold a little weed on the side as well. Not my weed, just some weed. And this kid ended up robbing him for like a pound of weed. This young kid, he was 19 years old. And at the time, I was in my early 20s as well. So we found out who the kid was. We went and beat the kid up. And I was like, tell this kid not to hang around, my crew anymore because he's bad for business. He's robbing. So they said they were not going to hang out with him anymore. His name was Luke Griggs. So after we beat him up, Luke Griggs went out and bought a 5-shot revolver, snub nose, and he got a tattoo on his arm that said, with the gun, and it said, "Here's mine, where's yours?" And he was going around town saying whenever he found me, he was going to shoot me because I'm the one that ordered him to get beat up. So I'm flying out to New York, like I said. I go to this house party to collect my money from my workers because I'm flying out and want to make sure everybody's refueled before I go because I was going to be gone. I get to the house party to get my money with Carlene, and I say, Carlene, where's my money? She goes, well, it's gone. I'm like, what do you mean it's gone? Like, who would who would do that? She goes, well, there's a problem. She's like, you know that guy Luke that you told us to stay away from? I said, yeah. She's like, well, he's here in my house, and I let him stay here for a few days, and I believe he's the one that stole your money, and he has the gun. I don't have a gun on me. I used to carry a gun. I was flying to New York, so that morning, why would I bring a gun? I'm just going to this house party to collect my money. $3,000, by the way, which was nothing. I mean, I would spend that on a dinner. Didn't mean anything to me. 3 grand. So I'm thinking, okay, this guy already robbed Brad. Now he's robbing you, which means he's robbing me. There's a problem. Now he's upstairs with a gun. I don't have a gun. What am I going to do here? So I went upstairs. He was sleeping, thankfully. I got his gun and I brought him downstairs, not at gunpoint. And I started to question about my money, and he was denying it all. And I said, well, you're going to die today if you don't come up with my money. So, and anything I said today, I want to make this very clear. Like, I'm not being boastful. There's a lot of scars with this story, and a lot of remorse. And I think about it every day.
Hmm.
You know, every day I think about it. But I told him he's going to die, and you were a part of that lifestyle. The power, the money. Just
Yeah.
you think I have a cop on my team. I really think I'm untouchable. Like I can do whatever. I can harm you and get away with it. Go about my business. That's what I thought. So he keeps on denying it. And I tell Brad, I said, well, get your car ready. Luke had a truck. So I said, well, you're going to get in your truck. Eric's going to be the driver. Uh, I'm going to get in Brad's vehicle and Carlene, all my captains, all the people that were involved in the crime. We drive out. He went willingly, by the way, because I have 3 charges. Uh, 2 of them were dropped. I have first-degree attempted murder with a firearm. I have kidnapping while armed with a firearm, and I have conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. They
Hmm.
dropped the conspiracy, they dropped the kidnapping while armed, and they dropped the firearm enhancement off my crime as well. So we drive out dirt road, 2 cars. I'm in the front vehicle. Luke's in the back vehicle with Eric. I get out the vehicle. I tell Luke to get out the vehicle, and I ask him again about my money, about my drugs. It's early morning. He denies it again, and his gun, the 5-shot revolver, I unload it on the whole truck, all 5 shots. And I strike him once in the shoulder. That bullet goes into his lung. It's still in his lung to this day. He wheezes every time he takes a breath. He escapes into his truck. And when he escapes into his truck, Eric douses the whole truck with gasoline and lights him on fire inside the vehicle.
Hmm.
We drive away. I'm thinking that he's gone, and I see this ball of flames in the rearview mirror come out the truck. And thankfully, he survives that attack. A passing motorist found him on a dirt road, naked, screaming that Poet shot him. Well, who's Poet? It's John Thornton. I get nervous. I get scared. It dawns on me what I've done, but my mind is not kind of recycling it. Like I get scared and I run to Mexico. So I hide out in Mexico, and I still had a whole bunch of money and drugs in Tampa. So I decided to come back across the border into Brownsville, Texas, to collect some of the money because I was going to have Carlene give me some of the money from the stash house I had, and she ends up turning me in to the police, and they get me on the border at the border entry point, and uh, like I said, I was trying not to think about the crime. Like I was just mainly drowning myself with alcohol. Didn't want to think about it. Uh, but in that prisoner transport van, you start to think about it, and and at the time, he was not. He was on life support, and the burns. He was in a self-induced coma. Like I really destroyed this kid, and that's another thing. Like whenever there's drugs involved, like there's no good outcome
Yeah.
with anything. And yeah, I get captured. Everybody in the crime gets captured, and uh, yeah, like I said, it's hard. It's still after all these years, it's still hard, you know, to talk about it. But Carlene ends up testifying. She they give her probation if she'll testify against me. They give Brad probation if they'll testify against me. Eric refuses to talk until the end. Whenever they were hammering us with the life sentences, he finally said that if I was going to shoot him if he didn't light the truck on fire. But I was
Mm.
out of bullets. I mean, it was the guy's gun. The state was like, "Now," and you can read that in my newspaper articles as well, where Eric tries to do that. And my victim, the crazy part about this is my victim. He survives this all. He heals up. Bullet is still in his lung. 47% of his body is third-degree burned. He ends up moving to Texas, and when he's in Texas, I'm in the county jail. But when he's in Texas, he ends up robbing another drug dealer, and he goes to prison. He goes to Texas prison for drug trafficking charges. So I was like, I almost killed you, and
Right.
you do the same thing to somebody else. Then you get picked up on drug trafficking charges. Like what? So my lawyer in the state ends up flying out to Texas while he's in prison to do depositions on him, and he ends up telling the state prosecutor that he wants to see everybody prosecuted in the crime except me. He said
Wow.
that he said if I go to prison, it would be detrimental to him being a part of my organization called the Society. And you can read that in my newspaper articles, you know. But in the end, Brad gets 5 years or 3 years probation. Carlene gets 5 years probation. Eric gets the same amount of time as me, 10 years in, 5 years out. Uh, and like I said, I was facing 3 life sentences. So for my victim to come forward and say that, and I try to think about it, like, why would he even say that, right? Maybe because he knew that he was guilty of doing the drug or stealing the money. I have no idea. I don't know why he said that. I have never talked to him since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in 2007, I go to prison in Florida, and I got out in 2015. I was facing 5 years because I had a 15-year sentence, 5 years violent offender probation. I hired a lawyer about 4 years in and got off early term. And throughout my whole prison sentence, I have no DR history. I never got in trouble. I received my education, my GED while I was in there. I used prison to benefit me, not like some of the guys in there. They're still involved in stuff and doing things like that. I wanted to use the state prison system to help benefit my life.
Yeah.
Been out this year will be 11 years. In September, I'll be out 11 years.
So, what was life like for you in prison? It sounds like you obviously used the time to better yourself, but outside of that, what was prison like for you? Did you experience anything violent or anything like that?
Nothing towards me. I never got into one fight. And that's the crazy part about it. I talk about it on other shows, but I knew people at
Mhm.
every prison I went to, and
Yeah.
they sent me to the most violent prison in the state of Florida. It still is to this day. It's called Liberty CI, and I knew people there. So every prison I went to, I knew people. So I had it better than most because of that. Like
Yeah.
if I didn't know anybody, I would because prison's like an old folks home. Like news travels fast,
Hmm.
like, oh, poet's here, So I already had that kind of recognition from the street. So
Hmm.
nobody ever, I mean, you get into like little uh, arguments and stuff like that, but there was never no violence. Nobody ever tried to beat me up. It was nothing like that for me. People go on these podcasts and they tell all these crazy little prison stories. I got to see violence, sure, but what people talk about on these shows is kind of ridiculous. It's almost like Jerry Springer, you know. But I got to
Yeah.
see death. I mean, I did see death, yes, for sure. But if you stay away from the three main rules in Florida prison, you'll be okay. And it's the three G's. They call it gambling, gays, and what is it? Gambling, gays, and gangs. So if you stay away from that, you're fine. You know.
Yeah. So, what is Florida prison system like? Because most of the people that I've had on were served their time in Georgia.
Okay.
What was Florida like?
Uh, when I first went in 2007, like the food was halfway decent. They had salt and pepper shakers on the table and like hot sauce bottles. But over time, they took out the salt and pepper shakers. Then they
Mm.
took out the hot sauce, and they would give you one little pepper packet, one little salt packet. Then the food started to change, it started to get cheaper. They started to cut out a lot of stuff. I mean, now when I was getting out, it's straight slop. I mean, you can't like the smell in the chow hall is horrendous.
Hmm.
If you don't have a support system on the street that's sending you money or helping you, like you're gonna starve in prison. Like it's bad, bad. Uh,
So, when you got arrested at the border,
huh?
what happened to all the money and the drugs and everything that you have? Did it get seized?
No, Carlene never told him about that because I remember I told you I gave her the location of
The
where it was
stash
kept,
house. Yeah.
and she ended up willing to testify against me. She never told him about the drugs or the money, and she ended up buying a beach house, mind you, a beach house with my drugs and my money.
Wow.
Carlene ended up violating probation, and she went to prison. So I've never talked to her. So since that time, so I have no idea where she's at currently. I don't know if she still has my house or her house. Um, I did talk to Brad when I got out. He was the driver, the getaway driver.
Hmm.
When I got out of prison in 2015, he came to see me, and him and I sat down, had a beer together, and he was apologizing to me. I'm like, why are you apologizing? Like, why? Like, I don't care, bro. Like, we should have never been involved in that. We should have never done anything like that. And he was riddled with drug abuse, and it was really sad to see him like that. And half my crew, and uh, I was such an enabler to sell you drugs, and I was so easily accessible. I was running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. All I cared about was selling you drugs, and I was really good at it. And it was probably one of I was really, really good at it. Um,
So, what
and
happened with the plug and what you owed him? Like, how did that situation go down?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I try to switch up the stories a little bit because I it's kind of like I tell the same story over and
Over and over.
over. And
Listen, I
yeah,
get that. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
So I'm probably stupid for doing this, but uh, I shot Luke that morning. Later that day, I owed him. I think it was like 40 grand, something like that. I forgot how much I owed him. I actually went by his house and paid him what I owed him. I didn't tell him what I did. I
Hmm.
paid him what I owed him, and I dipped out of town. So I'm the first guy that my face is clean with my plug. But
So, did he like put money on your books or anything? Because he had to have heard. I mean, it made the news.
right, yeah, yeah. I don't. I like I said. That's one subject I stay away
You
from.
stay
I
away
don't want
from.
to.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I don't touch too much on who he is
Yeah,
or
yeah.
what he's
No,
done
that's
for
fair.
me, or if he
So,
did or did not do anything for me. I'm never going to talk about it.
right.
But
No, I accept that. I respect
yeah,
that. So, you get you're this big time drug dealer and you end up going to prison for something that's not even your character. It
Right.
sounds like you got caught up in a moment
Mhm.
and did something that you obviously regret. They
Everybody
had
says
to,
that too, Jennifer.
yes,
Everybody says that. Even when I was on Matthew Cox, he said the same thing. He's like, as soon
yes.
as you walked in, he's like, doesn't match you.
No, not
I
at all.
know.
And then the thing that it gets me is why didn't they open an investigation and try to get you for more? Why didn't they come after you for the drug organization that you
Yeah.
clearly were running? You know, everybody, when you're in that world, you are not untouchable. There are informants,
Right.
people getting, they're dropping
Yeah.
your name. They had to have known.
On my discovery, my paperwork, people talk about paperwork, but
Yeah.
I post my paperwork on the internet. You guys can check it out on my social media, John Poet Thornton, everywhere. But uh, they knew it. I mean, the newspapers knew it. They said I was controlling the cocaine and ecstasy throughout Tampa's nightclubs and other states. They obviously knew it, but they never found any of it
Yeah.
because
Man,
of the stash house of
you got
Carlene.
lucky.
Oh yeah, I know. And the gun, the in the crime, I forgot to mention this. After I shot him and we were racing away, I threw the gun out the window. Fingerprints all over the gun. I mean, I'm not a killer. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how these things work, but
Yeah.
they never found the gun. And I even told I'm probably the only person that will sit in this chair on your show and say I deserve the time I got. Because I even told the police, I said, I'll go back and show you where I threw the gun or the proximity of it. They
Yeah.
weren't concerned about it. They wanted they wanted to know where I was getting my drugs from. And
Mm-hmm.
I refused to tell them. And I
Yeah.
will post that on my paperwork if you guys want to see it. Yeah, I never talked on I was facing 3 life sentences and I never gave up my connection.
Yeah.
The reason why I never gave him up because he never forced me to do anything. He never
Yeah.
put a gun to my head. He never
Yeah.
said, "Sell these drugs." He never did that. He was a great businessman, uh, and I felt like this is on me, man. This is
Yeah.
all on me.
Well, and you lived like a really great life.
That too. So yeah, I never gave him up. And it's funny because I said this on the last podcast I was on. Now I've been out of prison 11 years, and I think back, I was like, you know what? I should have gave him up. You know, because and maybe that's selfish because like I don't live a good life now. You know what I mean? Uh, that's probably horrible of me for to even say that, but like these guys, like I didn't get a suitcase full of money going, hey, thanks for not snitching on me.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was no longer useful to that organization, I was nobody.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part about it, you know?
So let's talk about the comment, I don't have a good life now. Why do you think that is? Like, what is it that's keeping you from having the life that you want?
Uh, my crime, because when it comes to jobs, if you look at it, if you look at my crime, if you look me up on the DOC website, it says first degree attempted murder. Then in parentheses, it says and or attempted.
So why haven't you tried to like start a business? I mean, you clearly know how to run an organization and build teams and network.
Yeah, I know how to run illegal businesses.
Right, but
Obviously,
same mindset. Take
it is the same
like
mindset,
what are
and
you good at?
uh,
Besides selling drugs, like what are you good at?
yeah.
Obviously
Well, I
you
haven't
can
done that.
sell.
I haven't sold drugs in a very very long time. And the drug game nowadays, I mean, I wouldn't even want to be a drug dealer now.
Right, but you know that you're a hustler. So how can we
Yeah.
take that and turn it into a way for you to have the
Mhm.
life that you want? Because you're clearly remorseful for what you did and you deserve to have a good life again.
Yeah, I think it's because I never really when I got out, I didn't really have a great support
Mm,
system, and you know, I had a little money and I created a business. I did create a business, a party planning business because I knew the underground raves. I know how that, and I was throwing events, stuff like that. And then COVID hit, and COVID totally tanked my business.
Hmm.
So the profit that I had from that business, I shifted it over to a logistics company because I know logistics, obviously, because I
Yeah.
was drug trafficking.
Yeah.
During COVID, everybody was trying to move, and I had a bad business partner. He probably got me for about $30,000 on the company. I keep on making bad business decisions, you know. Then I got a job working for a second chance company doing concrete, and I just recently quit that job. I was there 2 years. Uh, I just couldn't do the job anymore because of the guys I work with. Uh, I'm not going to talk crap about the company. It's a really great company, but you know, there were guys around me. We're working with heavy machinery, and there's guys that are high on drugs
Yeah.
and alcohol while they're working, and I'm not going to put my life in jeopardy for that. So I
Yeah.
just recently quit that job. So I'm in limbo right now to try to find something.
Hmm.
But my life has always been filled with serendipity moments, so I'm sure something will come, you know. But we haven't even gotten into like uh, some really like cool parts of I guess you can consider them cool, but you know, I was really good friends with Boston George Young.
Hmm.
You know who that is? Do you know who that is?
No,
You ever watched the movie Below?
I have. Yes, I have.
Yeah. Well, Johnny Depp plays him in the movie.
Okay. 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 Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I spent the last 2 years of his life with him. He was,
Wow.
yeah, he was a father figure to me.
So how was that?
Amazing. Uh, he was basically my hero, you know, and to hang out and be cool with your hero is pretty amazing. You know, he died in 2021 on Cinco de Mayo on a
Wow.
Spanish holiday. Ain't that something? You know, he was Pablo Escobar's right hand man.
Yeah. So what advice did he give you?
Have no regrets. That he
Mm.
always would say that, and I always told him, I said that I have too many regrets, you know. But it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Jennifer. I want to give you a happy ending here, but you know,
I believe that your happy ending is coming. I don't think, I know you probably should do some type of inner work because you can't keep going through life feeling guilty for something
mm,
that you've already paid your dues for.
yeah, everybody tells me that, but you know,
You
like you were saying, it's out of my character to do something violent like that, and you know, I'm still shocked that I could do that, and you know, I thought about it a lot in prison, more than I think about it now. It's like if that bullet would have just been a little bit over, you know, I would have took off his head. I
Yeah.
would have hit him in his heart. You know, if outside of his truck, he was standing outside of his truck, and the door took two of the bullets. The third bullet is what got him. Then I fired two more wild rounds after that. But whenever he escaped into his truck and we lit it on fire, if they would have closed the door to that truck, he would have burned
You
alive.
didn't, yeah. So were you trying to kill him or were you trying to scare him?
Kill him.
Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It
You know, when you live that lifestyle of drugs and money and you got all this power, can
yeah,
turn you into someone that you're not,
yeah,
even if it's just for a quick moment, because you feel like you're untouchable. And, listen to who your hero was and, the life that he lived and these big mob crime organizations, and
yeah,
mafias and all that. So you did a bad thing, and then he turns around, he survives, and then he turns around and goes and does the same thing to someone else. So,
right.
it's like, did he deserve what you did to him? No, but he didn't learn anything from it either. And you're
No,
still punishing yourself 11 and a half years later, or how
yeah,
many ever years on top of your longer than that, because that's how long you've been out for
yeah.
something that was just a moment in time.
Yeah, eh, to take a human life or to try to take a human life, it bothers me a lot, you know. because I'm the most lovable, trustworthy. I love everybody, you know, and to what, even though the guy was a piece of crap, right? But to wipe him out like that, like I did, it really really bothers me.
So, if you were to sit in front of him today, do you think he's forgiven you?
Well,
Or do you
obviously,
think he even cares?
I don't think he even cares, to be honest. And
So, why are
obviously,
you still carrying it?
just the whole aspect of I try to take a human life, and I don't think that shit's cool. I don't think it's cool to hurt someone.
It's not.
Choked up right now. See, I always get choked up when I talk about it.
It's okay. It's okay. That's
Yeah.
because you're still holding on to it and you haven't forgiven yourself. Um, One thing I want to focus on in this conversation, I do, and I know that you've seen me on social media, so you may already know this, you may not. If you watch the Matt Cox, I touched on
Yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
But I help people heal. I walk you through healing. I use plant medicine, some of them, different ones, hop A, psilocybin, sananga, all these different plant medicines. But what they do is and you can get there without the plant medicine because I have clients that I work with that are in active drug addiction and I take them under hypnosis and I work with their nervous system, their inner child where the trauma is stored. And at the end of the day, you're never going to have the life that you want if you don't sit in it and really look at it and forgive yourself. And you deserve that. There is
Mm.
nothing that is so bad that no matter what your religious belief is, whether you believe in God or you don't, but the creator that created you thought that you were worthy of living this life and obviously saved you from really killing this man because he
Mhm.
could have died, but he did
Yeah,
not. And you've
yeah.
gotten a second chance at life to
Mm.
come out and do something with that story because you were entrusted with that story and you made it out of it.
Yeah, I do appreciate that. I do appreciate your kind words, and I watch a lot of your videos, and I know you're a life coach, and they're amazing
Yes.
videos, and you're really doing some big things, Jennifer. And yeah, your videos are encouraging. Like they have encouraged me before when I'm sad, and I'll come across one of your videos, and you're uplifting, and it's really an honor and a privilege to be here with you today.
Thank
Like,
you. Do you know the only difference in you and I is that I just believe that I can do it? That's it.
yeah,
Is I
yeah,
just believe in myself. I have reckless faith in me. And you know why? Because I made it through shit that people don't make it out of. You've
right,
made it through shit that people don't make it out of. What do you want for your life? You can have that. Like you
yeah.
really can. And you deserve it.
This is a life coach moment right here.
It
Jennifer Rock,
is.
coach.
Yes, it is because I want you to see what I see.
Mm.
Somebody that has a phenomenal story that made a bad choice in one quick moment. But that choice, it didn't come to fruition of what you wanted it to come to in that moment. You were protected for a reason. And it's not for you to sit in your house right now and say, I have a terrible life.
No,
It,
I'm actually at my best friend's house. That's why I'm sunburned. We went fishing yesterday on his boat. I always give
yeah.
him a Big G. That's that's a great story too, by the way, Jennifer. I have to touch on this real quick.
Okay.
You meet some of the worst people in prison, and you meet
Yeah.
some of the best people in prison.
Yeah.
I actually met George in prison
Wow.
in 2009, and he just got out last year. He did 21 years,
Mm.
and him and I, you know how people in prison, you talking, yeah, when we
Yeah.
get out, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, blah 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 blah. Well, I got out in 2015, and I always stayed in touch with him. I stayed in touch with his family and him, and him and I would talk in the cell block. Like when we get out, we're gonna go fishing together. We're gonna do this and that. And last year, when he got out, we went fishing together, and we've been going fishing ever since. And that's why I'm sunburned because Big G and I we're on his boat yesterday fishing. So
Yeah.
you meet some of the greatest people in prison.
You do. And you are one of those greatest people.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
It is time for you to really believe that. Like, I am telling you in this moment that I would love nothing more than to help you and to coach you and to do some work with you because
Yeah,
I believe that you're worthy.
yeah. Let's stay in touch. I think you have a book out, right?
I do have a book. Let me show. I've actually got it
Yeah.
right here.
Plug the book.
Yes, The You Within is the book. This book is about finding hope, purpose, and your authentic self. It actually would be a great read for you because it talks about how to get past the
Yeah,
regret, the bad things that you've done, and really believe in yourself again.
yeah. And I think that's what I want. I think if you want to know a goal, it would probably be I need to find somebody that's a screenwriter,
Hmm.
write a book about my life, and hopefully a movie one day about my life. I think that would be my end goal.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
but right now I'm, you know, doing podcasts.
So why don't you sit down and write your book?
I have. I while I was in prison, I did, but it turned more into like a love story for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, I need. I'm a poet, but
Yeah.
I need someone that could help me with that. Maybe you can connect me with somebody that helped you. Did you have a person that helped you with the book?
I did. So I have been writing this book for like 10 or 15 years and I restarted it over and over and over
Right.
because when you've lived through so many different experiences in life, you're like, do I include all of them? Do I not include this? How and
Right.
I wanted at first it was just going to be kind of like a dialogue of my life and then I was like, no, I want it to be more of like, hey, I've done these things, but this is how I made it out of it. Because it's one thing to read someone's story and then
Mhm.
see where they are now. Well, how did you do it? And
Right.
so this book encompasses that. It talks about what I did and the lesson, and this is how I did this part. So that's the process. So I did use someone to help me write it. So if anyone is watching this, and I'll put you in, we'll talk about that offline, but if anyone is watching this
Mm.
and you want to help John, you want to help Poet, come in here and get his story out there. Let's talk about book deals. Let's talk about screenplays. It's time for you to step into what is for you.
Yeah. I appreciate it, Jennifer. You're awesome.
No, you're awesome. And you got to believe that you are. Come on. You made
Yeah,
it through some stuff people don't make it out of.
I
And
know. I
you've
did it
and you've remained free and didn't go back to selling drugs, which you could have very easily done.
very easily, and now I have, and that's a great. I'm glad you brought that up because when I got out in 2015, I was asked by that organization if I wanted to come back, and I told them I can't. I'm on 5 years violent offender probation. If I get caught for anything, I'm going away. They're going to forget about me.
Yeah.
So I chose not to go back, and I faced homelessness. I faced a lot of things throughout that time frame. Um, but yeah, I chose not to do it because I knew, like you're not. People always think that they're smarter than the police. No,
Hmm.
you can't be smarter than the cop. They have more resources, more money. Like you're eventually going to get caught.
Well, especially now with cameras
Oh yeah,
everywhere. I
yeah.
mean,
That
it's almost impossible at this point to do anything.
and like I said, I wouldn't. When I got out in 2015, the fentanyl thing started to occur, and like they're putting fentanyl on everything.
Yeah.
I did not want to be a part of that as well. And
Yeah, because they're charging people for murder now. If somebody
yeah,
overdoses and they can find out where it came from, there's no coming
yeah,
back from that.
yeah. And if somebody's watching this that you are a drug dealer, get out of the game, man.
Yes, get out
Yeah,
of the game.
but crazy, crazy. How long have you been out?
I have been out for 16 years.
16. It was that long ago.
Yeah, I went to prison at 22. I got out at 24 and I'm 41. I'll be
Wow.
42 this year.
Okay.
Yeah. I was
Yeah,
young. I got addicted to meth when I was 17 years old.
yeah. I watched your Matthew Cox interview. Great interview, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've lived many different lives
Yes, you have.
in
Yeah.
41 years. Yeah.
It you don't look it at all. You don't look 41. I thought you were older just by your stories, not by your looks. I mean, you're
Yeah.
beautiful. You're
Thank
beautiful. You're
you.
a beauty queen.
Yes. Thank
Uh,
you. Nope. 41. I'll be 42 this year. And
awesome.
some days I feel every day of 41, and some days I still feel like I'm in my 20s.
Yeah, yeah. I have the same mindset. But when I wake up and my back is hurting, I'm like, oh, I feel definitely 47.
Yeah. You
But
need a better mattress then.
yeah, right.
It's not your
That's
age,
fine.
it's the mattress.
Right, right.
So,
Yeah, I
poet,
think
is that what
yes.
people call you? Is poet?
Yeah.
Poet.
Yeah.
So tell us, call it out. What is it that you desire for your life? Speak it in this
I think
moment.
we just talked about it. Someone helping me write my story
Yeah.
because I left out so much. So much today because people already hear the same stories, like I said. But yeah, my story has a little bit of everything. It has betrayal, it has love, uh, crime, and it goes so in depth. And
The fact that you're a poet, that's a big thing. A lot of these Instagram accounts now, and I follow some of them, they write
mhm,
their poetry and they put it in like a Canva template and they post it. And
right,
people like that because it's an outlet.
yeah,
So
I
stop wasting your talent.
well, it's kind of it's kind of funny because I got the nickname from my grandmother.
Mm,
She was like the most wonderful woman ever. Uh, uh, her my grandfather, her husband, he died before I was born, and his name was John William Thornton.
mm-hmm,
So when I was born, they was like, we're going to call him John William Thornton in his grandfather's memory.
mm-hmm.
So my grandmother, she would always do arts and crafts with me, just anything, just the most wonderful woman. And in the second grade, there was a poetry contest, little kid, stupid poetry contest, blue ribbon type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up writing a poem for my grandmother, and I won. And I took the blue ribbon back to my grandmother. I won this poetry did a poem about you, Grandma. And she's like, "You're my little poet."
I
That's
love
where the
that.
name came from. So I'm like, I'm poet now.
Yeah, so be the poet. Do you know
Yeah,
in the fifth grade, I won a presidential writing award? I also won the Dare Essay Award.
yeah, really.
Do you dare staying off
Yeah,
drugs?
yeah, right,
Yes.
yeah. That's why I
Yes.
was like,
The irony. Yes.
yeah, yeah, the irony, yeah, yeah.
That is a gift to be
Mm,
able to write and to be able to write poems that move people. So, in this moment, I am calling in for you, your poet, the poet in you, to come back out and believe in yourself enough to know that, you know what, I can do this and I'm worthy of it and I deserve it.
yeah,
As
I'm
you
trying.
do.
I'm a survivor. I'm definitely a survivor. I'm not weak. I'll survive this. My life has always been,
Yeah.
maybe I'm used to it. Maybe that's why we always try to find, what do they call it? Normalcy. Am I saying that right?
Normalcy. Yeah.
Maybe I'm just used to the chaotic. You know.
I just took a class and it's all about nervous system work. And it was very interesting because of the work that I do, with healing and taking people on journeys and helping them look at things. And the thought behind this nervous system class is that no matter how much healing someone does, they can't integrate it because the nervous system is used to the way that their life has always been. And so you only can go so far and then the nervous system stops. So what it at that point becomes about is healing the nervous system. And
Mm,
it is true because when you've been through chaos and you've been through trauma and your life has done this your whole life, you're
yeah,
used to that. And so anything that doesn't look like that, it's like, oh, wait, this doesn't feel right. This is too normal for me. Is this really what I
yeah,
want? Or for me, like when I was in some of the highest points of my life of being home, and it was like operating on all cylinders were clicking, I still wasn't happy. I mean, I'm living in a 3 by 3 bedroom condo on the beach in Florida, a life that people would dream about living, and I was depressed.
What
Waking
part of
up to that,
Florida?
it was in Pensacola Beach, Gulf
Okay.
Breeze,
All
but I
right.
was depressed every day. And I've got the most and it's what I always wanted. But the reality is, I didn't feel worthy of it. And so,
Right.
no matter how much I woke up to everything that I had ever asked for, because I didn't feel worthy of it, I felt like it was something else I was looking for. The next best thing. Maybe if I have another child, maybe if I find the best relationship, maybe if I do this. And it was none of that. What it was is that I was searching for something that was within myself that I had to sit with long enough to say, you know what? I have suffered enough in my life. It is time to stop suffering. It is time to forgive myself. It is time to believe and know that I am worthy. And it is time to stand in that and operate in that, because I can stand on a stage and influence and touch the hearts of 1,000 people. But I walk off that stage and I feel lonely because I
Yeah.
don't feel like I deserve what I'm doing.
Yeah.
No, I'm done with
Yeah.
that.
And that's interesting that you just said that because like last night, every time I go on a show, like the night before I have insomnia, I can't sleep,
Mm,
and it's like it's almost like I'm a nervous wreck before I get on the show. Not that I'm nervous to talk about my story. It's just like it's like ripping open a wound. Like it's something I have not healed from yet.
yeah.
I'm ripping a band-aid off the scar, and I got to relive the moments, and there were. I mean, it was not always bad.
Yeah.
There were a lot of great moments, but I don't know how I survived it, to be honest. I really don't.
You
But
survived it
I'm
because
here for a reason.
you
Just
are, and because you have purpose,
yeah,
and you just got to find it.
yeah.
Let me help you, poet. Let me help
Got
you.
you. Yeah, we'll stay in touch for sure.
I want to help you. I want to see you 5 years from now living the life that you used to live illegally, but legally, because you
Yeah,
can. Because if you can do it that way, you can do it this way, because it's the same energy. It's just a shift in it. If I can
mm,
have this great situation on this side of the fence, I can have it over here too. All I have to do is find the thing over here that aligns with the same energy that I operated there,
mm,
that's legal. Telling your story, writing your book, getting a movie deal, traveling the world, going on stages, going inside of prisons, looking at young kids that need someone to say, you know what? You can make it out because I made it out, and this is how I did it. And you're worthy of more. Like, we
mm.
need that. The world needs you to get out of your suffering and your feeling bad for yourself and your guilt and what you did, and stand up and be John Poet Thornton and change your reality and the world around you, because you have the power to do it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You're
You're
welcome.
you're uplifting me right now. I feel
I'm
like,
glad.
I'm gonna run out the door and
Do it.
yeah,
Do it.
I'm energized.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Final thoughts. What do you have to say about who you are to the world? Final message. What is it?
Ah, I get asked this a lot. I don't know. It changes.
What is it today?
Uh, what is it today?
If you can't come up with anything, just decree and declare what your future is about to look like.
Uh, well, according to Jennifer Rogers, my life coach, it's going to be looking great. So,
Yes, it is. Thank you. Call it in.
yeah,
Claim it.
yeah, right.
Put our stamp on it right now.
I don't know. I think like current day. I mean, this might go off subject, but I feel that these podcasts have turned into like a Jerry Springer type thing, and there's so many fake people. There's so many fake people, man, that go on these shows and tell their story. Like it's almost disgusting
Mm,
that people, these people have like over 1 million subscribers,
mhm,
and they've never done half of what I've done. Their story is so fictitious. It's insane, and true crime creators. I'm not going to call them out here, but um, I feel that it's more damaging to the society than it is helping because they are glorifying that life.
Mm,
And I feel that people like you and your podcast can shift that. Like,
yeah.
you get more people like me on the show that will tell you a real story that will show remorse. And I think that would be my message today is to watch more Jennifer Rogers and
Yes.
enjoy a real podcast and don't fall for the other true crime stuff right now because they're really hurting people and they're not encouraging them to do the right thing. And
Yeah.
that would be my message today is to do the right thing. Buy a Jennifer Rogers book.
Yes.
Shameless plug.
Yes. Thank
Uh,
you.
and check me out. John Poet Thornton. I'm so transparent. Like anybody that hits me up on social media, like I actually give them my phone number. I'm like, yeah, call me, man. They're like, oh wow, and I'll have a conversation with somebody I don't even know on the phone and tell them stories and try to uplift them and that's the crazy part. It's somebody that uh, is sad like me. I'm always trying to uplift somebody else, and that would be my message: is uplift somebody else today.
Yes. And that is why your life is getting ready to shift. I see it. I feel it. I know it. So just believe what I'm telling you.
I am.
The shift is coming.
I appreciate it.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Guys, if you want to reach out to John Poet Thornton, I will link his information. I'm going to tag him in all of this content so you will know how to get in touch with him on social media. If you have any questions for John or myself, please feel free to reach out. And anyone that is going through a hard time right now, that's feeling down or depressed, or like, I just don't know how to move forward, you are worthy of a fresh start. You are worthy of moving forward, and you deserve anything that you can imagine. You can have it. If you need one on one coaching, if you need someone to talk to, if you just need someone to uplift you in a moment, please reach out to me. That is what I do, it is what I live for. You can email me at jenrogers@nawpr.org. You can also go to my website, fillyourcup.club, and fill out my contact form there as well. You can DM me on social media. And that wraps it up today for the Fenced In podcast with Mr. Poet. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share for more content like this. And one last final thought: no darkness can outshine the light within. Jennifer Rogers signing off with the poet. Have an amazing
Bye.
day.
Thanks for
Goodbye.
having me.
You're welcome.